So it is Confucius who said, we must study the past if we are to define the future. There's an American author and filmmaker. For those who watch film, you remember the Jurassic Park of 1999. The filmmaker and author behind it is one Michael Crichton. He said, if you do not know history, then you know nothing. You are just like a leaf that does not know it is part of a tree. As the young generation of Kenya, we need to have a nuanced comprehension of our history. Some of us were out of 254, ndio tukiulizwa, where are you from? We say Kenya. But a Kenyan in Kenya, if you are asked who are you, or what are you, or where you're from, the primal answer will be, I am a Kikuyu from Oranga, or a Luo from Nyakat. I am a Kisi, or a Kamba, or a Taita, or I am from Masabit, which is fine. Your tribe is your identity. But the reality is that what we call Kenya is actually a geographical demarcation that was carved by the colonialists. And they even used to call it a protectorate. We were different tribes, different nations, different communities, disparate ethnicities with different values, cultures, morals, governance structures, etc. Then they left us their governance blueprint, their own version of democracy, their own version of curriculum, as they retained their own monarchy. They keep changing faces at Downing Street more often than a whore changes clients, left us with their mannerism and all that. In fact, as we speak, for a Kenyan or an African, if I might give it context, for you to be called sophisticated, you must have mannerism of an Englishman. Speak like an Englishman. Use cutlery well. I don't know, fork, which hand, knife, which hand, for you to be called sophisticated. You see? And that explains why after every 5 years, we seek alternative leadership. Hata huyu Kibaki that we are posthumously littering his grave with encomium as the best president Kenya has ever had. Si hamkuwa mnataka rudi 2007? 2002, it was Kibaki tosha. 2007, we did not want him anymore. And that is why we ended up massacring each other. Neighbors turning against each other. Even spouses turned against each other. And that is why our fathers and mothers fought hard for multipartyism and our own blueprint, that is the 2010 Constitution, which I am very certain a plethora of us have not even read. Personally, I first read it nikiwa a political science student at UON, because as a student of politics, I had to. Shame on me to even admit that. Hata saa hii ndio nairudia lately again, but because this time I seek to be more aware. This is the first indictment to the young people. So many Katiba, it is what we call our authorial spear. It is our source of truth. Number 2, Kenya is neither a developing nor third world country. That is just a term our dealers or so-called leaders used to beg from IMF. As Lady Mutai or Ms. Mutai has said that our president seems to be lackadaisical towards Iran because of the tea thing. No, it's because he is simping for Washington. That is where we get our money. Kwanza nasikia that ex-boyfriend of mine at Treasury went kneeling in Washington, which is not far-fetched propaganda, just intended. It's often more emotional than logical, but I'm not here to give tea today. We only have 2 countries. A country is either industrialized or non-industrialized. Now, what does it take to develop a country? Now that we are talking about development, resources, and all that. Number 1, water. Did the colonialists carry our litany of water bodies? They did not. In fact, let me shock those who do not know. It took a Frenchman called Alain Gachet, under the auspices of RTI, the so-called Radar Technologies International, to discover 250 billion cubic meters of water in Turkana. Do you know when this happened? 2013, hapa juzi. How many years after independence? How many decades after independence is when we are discovering water? A Frenchman coming to discover that there is water in Turkana. Yet people of Turkana have been dying from starvation, famine, malnutrition at rates that are bamboozling. Another study found that it will take between 5 to 10 billion to desalinate the water and make it consumable for both people, livestock, and for irrigation. That between 5 to 10 billion is more than Duale steals here from Shah. Uhuru toyed with the desalination idea in 2019, ikakunywa maji. It is Ruto in 2025 who has revived the idea again, the so-called Lotikipi aquifer. But sijui imefika wapi, because unajua yeye pia ni mtu wa kusema na kutenga na kupanga. Hope he goes through with it. Shida yake is instead of articulating and highlighting such projects, he surrounds himself with a useless communication team and a cabal of imbeciles called affordable bloggers who wako tu kuongea mefi. Resource number 2 that you need as a country to progress, land. Imagine sahi ndio tuko kuutilize Galana Kulali, which frankly is among the few things that guy has gotten right. But where did the harvested crops go to? What wambi? Sorry. Number 3, solar energy. We are yet to have harvest such. Number 4, human resources, or as we like to call it, manpower. I mean, we have the brightest, most educated population. But sasa mtu amesomea engineering, ako boda. Si ndio maana ukimpatia 200 aende apige watu na afanye maujinga kwa rally, they will do that. Because the young people are desperate. Point is, we have all it takes to have an industrialized country. Shida ni nini? Those are some of the questions that we should be asking ourselves. In 1979, Mwalimu Nyerere said that the secret to development is people, land, and sanitized politics, as well as a youthful population that is virtuous and has a sharp wherewithal. We already know that we have politicians who shun accountability, they shun answerability, they are impervious to responsibility, they are callous, indifferent, and insufferable fools. They think being elected and getting empty salaries and moving around in fuel guzzlers is the hallmark of success. To me, success is being in position of influence and authority. But greatness is what you do with that success. As a Luo, I do not give a shit who becomes the deputy of this country. That is why I'm not buying to this tunataka power narrative. It's stinking gutter debris to me. All, and I believe many right-minded young people seek a leadership that prioritizes justice, fairness, accountability, and rule of law. A leader who believes in justice will make police brutality a priority, will seek to eradicate poverty. Education and a viable economy will be priorities regardless of whether the leader is a Turkana, Kikuyu, Mijikenda, or Luo. Even most of us see an Akizungumi very eloquent and articulating issues. Ikifika kwa ballot, we retreat to our tribal cocoons kuvote mtu wetu. You see? At this point, and this point rather, goes to my Luo brothers and sisters who are listening. We are too caught in symbolism rather than substance.